What is up, guys? Jeremy here from school.com/financial coaching. One of the key relationships that I recommend and that I think is significant for accelerating your path to financial freedom is mentor relationships. So you being the mentee and having mentors investing in you. And so I wanted to take this video to talk about what's in it for them. Basically, I want to help you think from your mentor or from your potential mentor's shoes. And hopefully, by doing so, you can create a framework for how do I, pursue these or acquire these relationships more healthily, and how do I help them be more impactful for me and more long lasting? Because ultimately, if a relationship is not a two-way street, if it's not mutually beneficial, mutually enjoyable, then it's not going to last. And obviously, okay, so with a mentor relationship, like there's not a lot that you're bringing to the table, right? Just like a kid, a 2-year-old does not bring a lot to the table in their relationship with their parent, right? But let's lean into that metaphor for an example, because they might they might still be able to create a long-lasting, thriving, healthy relationship, right, with their parent. And why would a parent engage in a relationship with their kid? Now, it's a little different, okay, if we want to cross this over into mentorship, but let's just think about parenthood for an example, because maybe it's intuitive to you. One, they probably feel some level of moral responsibility. Like, I contributed to your birth, or I've signed up to be your guardian. Like, I should, and I know you can't do it yourself, and so therefore I am willing. So it is a real relationship, but a sacrificial one. But what else helps the parent engage in this relationship with their kid? The kid gets older, and that sounds maybe that sounds superficial, but there's layers to what I'm saying with that, because it's not just, oh, you become somehow less inconvenient, but there is a leveling of the playing field, but it's never level. You're always still the parent, but we can begin to engage in types of conversations that we couldn't before as I see you mature. And not only that, but I get to influence that maturation process. So as you, as a child, grow into adolescence, adulthood, if I'm a good parent, or if I'm just not a good parent, but if I'm actively involved in leading this child, then I'm going to have a significant part to play in shaping their worldview, shaping their value system, even cultivating their interests and passions. And so what does that mean? It means that more or less, like, your child has a higher likelihood of being an enjoyable relationship for you in the long run, because you got to be such an influence in the formation of them internally. And they do what you, I mean, kids don't always do what you say, but like, the more that a 2-year-old and then a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, like, the more that you, like, what am I trying to say? If for every year of your childhood parent relationship, if every year as a child you just rebelled against your parents, you did exactly the opposite of what they said, or you were just totally apathetic to everything they said and you didn't apply anything that they said, the odds that that becomes a long-term fulfilling relationship, just because one day you're 30 and now you're no longer, subject to their authority, you no longer live with them, maybe, it doesn't mean that, oh, now we can just be friends all of a sudden. Often, like, the taking advice and applying it, the receiving a correction and changing, is a significant trust builder and depth builder in the relationship, that then propels into this more friendship-like relationship in adulthood. So let me kind of slow down here a second and talk about some of these dynamics from a mentor-mentee perspective. Because what do you bring to the table as a mentee, as someone reaching out? A mentor is usually not going to find you. Usually you're going to seek them. Okay, so it's a little bit different than parenthood. They're not just going to give birth to you. You know what I mean? Like, normally it's you asking someone else, hey, will you meet with me? Or can I get on a call? I would love to ask you XYZ, whatever. I can make a different video on like how to pursue mentor relationships or how to find them. But this one is more like, what's in it for them? Okay, so let's think about this metaphor with the child, right? So a mentor might have some internal moral compulsion to invest in the people behind them or under them or the next generation. They might feel like it is their duty, in a sense, if someone wants to learn from them, to teach. Like, not even like they necessarily want to, but like they feel morally compelled. That is like an important dynamic to consider. It's not something that you can really overplay or leverage as a mentee. But what you can know is, basically, if that's their main driver, what's going to increase the health and the depth of this relationship? It's by saying thank you a lot. Like, the more that they are doing it just from a pure service perspective, like a noble cause, maybe they feel inconvenienced, maybe they're not super excited about it, but they feel like they should. The best you can do is say thank you all the time. And just an immense amount of gratitude, right? It's not that you're inflating their ego, but you're assuring their conscience that like this is a good thing. You might even want to tell them things that they've said or examples of something they've done in their life that has like helped you. Like, you want to help them see the cause, see the moral good that they are participating in through this relationship, that they wouldn't in the same way, right, for just a pure friendship, or if they were your boss and you were their employee, or like if you were a client or a customer of their business, right? Like, it wouldn't be the same level of moral compulsion of like, I'm just helping, right? And so if they're just helping, then say thank you a lot. Another thing a mentor receives, or what's in it for them, is kind of similar to the moral compulsion, but it is like a respect, ego, like a feeling of success and importance. That sounds like really superficial, and a lot of times this is subconscious, okay? It's not like they wrote down in their journal this morning, like, what will help me boost my ego? But most people don't ask people for anything. This is kind of a silly example, but when I was in college, I was involved deeply in a church, and in the college ministry, there was this guy named Chris Jolly. And Chris Jolly, everyone knew this is the legend that like knows the Bible back and forth, like just reads for hours and hours, and it's been years, and leads tons of people, and is a charismatic communicator as well, a great friend, great athlete as well when he wasn't freakishly injured, but like an amazing guy, super friendly guy, and everyone knew like the Bible is his thing. Like he has chapters and chapters memorized that he's never even memorized, but he's just read it so many times that he just actually knows every single word. Like that guy. Where am I going with this? One time I asked him, I said, Chris, can we get coffee at some point? I would love to pick your brain on how you read the Bible. because I'm pretty sure I could learn a lot from you, right? Of just what are you looking for? I've got actually several questions I would love to ask you. And I'm thinking, like most mentees do when they reach out, like they're too busy, like they've got plenty of other things going on. There's 100 other people that he's literally in charge of leading spiritually right now in the college ministry. Like, there's no way he's trying to add to that list, right? So he's probably going to say no, but I might as well shoot my shot. And he says yes. And he actually really enjoyed it. And what he told me is the point of this story is at the end of our time together, and I'm taking notes because I'm really actually, like, I really want to learn from him, right? So I'm taking notes on the things that he's sharing, and he says, Jeremy, no one has ever asked me to do this. And I was like, what? Like, no, not a single person has asked you to talk about the Bible with, like, but everyone knows this about you. Everyone knows how kind and willing you are. Like, not even the people that you directly lead, like they are in your small group, or like they live in your house, none of your roommates, like no one has asked you ever. And he was serious, like no one. And the reason I mention this is as it ties to this ego thing. Like, it's not just like Chris, he's self-assured in this example. Like, he's not reading the Bible so that one day someone can tell him how great he is for reading the Bible, but he knows that he's doing a great thing. And maybe a lot of other people know too, but like, without that direct communication, without that relational line, like, he is not really receiving the way to go, the rah, the you inspire me, the like, the validation of like mentees. Like, and to receive that can be compelling and significant from a mentor perspective, where especially if they have achieved something unique, it's almost a little bit disillusioning or disorienting or almost surprising to go years and years and feel like, man, no one's, like, everyone knows this about me, but not a single person wants to do it too. Like, no one's gonna ask about it. Like, okay, like, I guess, right? But so by the time I reach out to Chris, like, is he feeling, oh man, I'm so inconvenienced, yada yada? Probably not. What he's probably thinking is, finally, right? Like, how many more years and hours, like, it's probably not what he was thinking, because he's probably a little bit more, down to earth than that. But I'm talking about the subconscious more than the conscious. But subconsciously, it's like, I would have thought by now that more people would have asked me for my advice on X, Y, or Z. And so it's almost like, good for you, mentee, recognizing that I have something great to offer. And the funny thing from the mentee perspective, from, me looking for a mentor perspective, is you don't have to like see the diamond in the rough. You don't have to like think about this person that maybe they don't seem like they have that much to offer, but maybe they do. It's like, you can just go after the star list that you have some type of relational connection to. And it's like, man, they're probably going to say no, but what if they say yes? And the reality is, for most anyone, it's the same story, where they don't get that call that often. They don't get that text. They don't get that email that often. It's just like, I want to learn from you. And so it's just a naturally flattering feeling. And it's also like an excitement to invest, to give the things that are in you. It's not like a moral good, like, I don't really want to, but like, I should do it. It's not like, no, it's not like I should. It's like, I want to. Like, I want to give this to people. I want to empower people. Like, I have found something great and I want other people to have it. And so as a mentee, you can provide that outlet, and most mentors don't have a plethora of those outlets. Most mentors don't. They don't. And so that's one thing you're providing. is that ego flattery. And so this one is a little bit less about saying thank you so much, as far as like how do you leverage that into longer lasting, more impactful mentor relationships. And it's more about like kind of the like ability to identify what it is that you value about them. And you could also talk about how it's, valuable to you, or how it's impacted you. But it's like it's almost like you're their cheerleader to a certain extent. You're looking up to them. You're just giving them that sense of inspiration. Also, a lot of times a mentor might feel known in this regard, because not only do many mentor figures lack a plethora of people reaching out to them to learn from them, also a lot of them might even be in some ways misunderstood or even vilified for whatever it is that they have achieved. Particularly when it comes to money, if someone's a CEO, or if someone has generated a great amount of financial wealth, like a lot of their day-to-day interactions, it's this mixed bag internally. If they're wondering, if someone else is wondering if they're a bad person, right? Or who did I cheat, or who did I steal from, or what corner did I cut that now I'm so successful? Like that's what they're thinking, the other person's thinking, because that's how wealth is often portrayed. When the reality is usually like very creative, smart, difficult work for decades, right? That leads to legitimate value that's legitimately mutual. Not a long list of people that have been screwed, not a long list of people that have been left behind, but a long list of paying customers that are thankful for the value, for the service, for the product that the business has created. Like it's like we both won, right? And this person, the particularly successful person, found out how to help more people win for more value, for more difficult problems. So regardless, you're helping them feel known too, just by admiring them. You're already, it's like this validation, but it's also this relief, that, man, someone that doesn't think I'm crazy, right? And, we're kind of talking about money as far as financial freedom and my financial coaching group, but this applies to other topics as well. Anything that someone becomes great at, there's a cost. There's something abnormal they did to become abnormally successful at something. And so, as it relates to my example with Chris earlier with reading the Bible, like I'm sure there's a list of people that are like, man, he's not taking his schoolwork seriously enough, or man, he doesn't have a social life, or man, he's not making enough money or working enough to be able to, like he's spending way too much time at church doing church things, right? So like there's these haters that that not only are there a lack of people actively pursuing me, but there is a perception that some people are almost like dismissing me. And so to have a place where I can feel flattered and also known is something you provide as a mentee that, again, the mentor might not have a ton of off the jump. A couple notes. Well, and then maybe the third thing I'd want to say is that like you are putting their words to work. So thinking about this parent to kid metaphor, hopefully you haven't forgotten about that one already, right? So the kid, okay, there's a moral obligation. I need to take care of this kid. But there's also this flattery, this ego, this like, I feel important as a parent because I'm raising a kid. I want to give this kid all that I have. I want to, make them into the best version of them they can be. And Not a ton of other people are my kids, right? Like, this is my chance. This is the person. And other people out there don't even like me, and they don't even think I should be a parent. But with this kid, they do like me. They believe me, like, so there's this moral obligation, but there's this ego, flattery, validation, known. I'm just lumping that all in this one. It's like an outlet to proactively invest myself that you might not have. It's not the same emotional experience to invest yourself in the business that you own, or invest yourself in a relationship that's very obviously like mutually financially beneficial. Whereas with a kid, it's not about money, right? With a mentee, it's not about money. Like, the mentor is not spending time with you because it's so strategic for their business growth, right? So it's that ego flattery, it's the moral obligation. The third thing that kind of plays into both of these, but maybe it's just like the last tip I could give you as far as how to make these relationships as impactful and as long lasting as possible, is progress. Like, you do something with what they say. You remember what they say, and you try what they say, not just one time, okay? Please don't disrespect a mentor that badly. But like, give 3 months to like lean into it hard, give it everything. And then you're ready for lesson 2, right? What else do you have? Hey, this is what I've tried, this is what I learned, this is what I am still working on or struggling with. Right away, the mentor is going to be like, dang, you took this way more seriously than I did, right? Like, well, now I have to really think about my advice, and oh wow, that insight you got is actually kind of helpful for me, because now I can know how that actually plays itself out in today's world, or today's economy, or today's generation, or whatever. Like, you're helping them stay in touch and in tune with the next generation, and understanding the motives and underlying purposes and values and skills that, just generally speaking, culturally, a generation carries. So maybe there's a little bit of relational refinement that they're benefiting from, but a lot of it is, man, they will feel way more like respected and way more inclined to continue when they can see the work that you do. Like, no mentor wants to feel like you are just looking to them to bail them out of your own life. Like, hey, Joe, you have a lot of money. Can we meet for lunch? Okay, sure. I'm already not excited, right? If I'm Joe. Because I'm lacking. I might have a moral obligation, but I probably don't. And then it's like, I'm not particularly flattered, because you're looking at the money and you're missing the work. You're not valuing what it took to get here. You're just idealizing something about my current lifestyle. And so I already know how this conversation is going to go, which is basically like, can I have it? Like, how do I get it? But they're not actually interested in actually how. So it's like, it's just not that exciting. It's not that exciting. It's like, you have a lot of money. I wish I had a lot of money. It's like, okay, doesn't sound like there's a lot for this relationship to build off of. Versus a child that's actively applying the things their parent is doing, generally obedient to their parents, respectful of their parents. That can help the parent get better at parenting if something doesn't go well that they advised. But it also just creates a foundation where that relationship will continue for a long time, most likely, when the words are getting put into practice. So, 3 things, maybe 2.5, that a mentor is interested in and that they are getting from. For them, it's less about, this is such a great intentional strategic use of my time, or this is so great for me financially. But relationally, there is a real a real utility, a real value that you bring by being someone that is in need, but also someone that is eager, that is willing, that is applying what you're learning. And then the only other tip I would just give generally is like, and maybe I should just say this for another video, but like the more that they can see themselves in you, the more that's going to help the impact and longevity of a mentor relationship. Because again, you're kind of thinking parent to kid, but you're also just thinking from a friend perspective, like how much do they enjoy you? Like how common are, like, what's the common denominator of your values? Like if they feel like they are speaking to a younger them, that is going to magnify the moral obligation they feel, magnify the sense of like fulfillment and flattery and validation and ego that they feel. It's going to magnify their level of interest in seeing you put these lessons into practice, because now they're trying to save themselves, right, from their own past mistakes. They're invested for real. And that's a real relationship. It's a real value. It's not something you need to feel guilty and shamed about as a mentee. Like there are supposed to be people further ahead, and there are supposed to be people that are farther behind. And when you're looking to someone that's ahead, it's just really important that you're not just looking for a handout. You're not just looking for a come up, like, hey, like what's the shortcut? But like, I'm content with where I'm at in terms of like, I know I'm going to take every step. I will take every step along the way, but just give me some guidance on how to do it the best, or like, what should I look out for? Or it could be, again, unrelated to business, unrelated to finances. Much of what I've received from mentor relationships has been much more interpersonal, spiritual, and like psychological and relational guidance and development, more so than like, oh, this key business opportunity, which again is kind of the point of mentors as a whole, is like let's try to get the financial ties out of this relationship. Let's make this one not purely about money. If you lean into money, you're going to lose the impact and the longevity of the mentor relationship, but you might be able to bridge what started as a mentor relationship into a key financial or business opportunity. But the more that you become partners financially, or they become a client, or you become their employee, or, you know, now it's like you're leaving the world of that mentor relationship. So for the mentor relationship, it's not about the money. It's not about what you can do for them with your time. The value you bring is in the relationship. And those are some of the ways that I've highlighted in this video of how you can increase the perceived value for them, which increases the likelihood that they will continue, that they'll offer you things. And I'll make a different video on like what's in it for you, I guess, as the mentee. But I wanted to make this one to you know, think from their shoes as someone that is a protege, the mentee, the learner, the kid. How do you make this a relationship that's enjoyable for the parent or for the mentor? So hopefully this was helpful. If not, hey, that's all right. There's always the next video. Give me another chance. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon.